If you want to make your life feel like a real life movie full of different adventures, different experiences, always doing something new, something interesting, I really invite you to check out this video and stay to the end, because the story that we're going to be talking about today is so out of the world to me to this day. It's unfathomable. Because just a few months ago, my friend, oh boy, did I make a decision. Let's go back to where it all began. However, this was at around March of 2026, this current year, and I was stuck in the exact same routine, all of which was caused by, consequences of my own actions. I chose to get a 9 to 5, I chose to get a job, and I chose to get enslaved, pretty much. Now, you're probably asking, why is that the case? This was purely because your boy did not want to go to college. I had too much faith in what I do. I tried to explain to my parents that I want to pursue content. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're not going to uni after high school, you got to get a job. So that's what I ended up doing. For those who don't know, I spent 6 months working at McDonald's for minimum wage, which definitely hit my ego and definitely ruined my self-esteem. Because throughout all this time, I constantly repeated to myself that, oh, you're a McDonald's worker. You're like Jeffrey from the Hamza analogies, Jeffrey and Adonis. That's how I saw myself. My self-perception was completely altered purely by the fact that I was stuck in a place where I did not want to be, right? So at one point, I made another decision. I decided to leave working full-time. I stayed only for the weekends. So I suddenly have 5 days of the week completely free to work, right? So the first thing that I ended up doing with those days of free time that I had is pretty self-explanatory, if you saw the title and the thumbnail of this video. Because I have this very strong urge to travel, because I have such a desire towards exploration, getting to see as much of the world as I can whilst I am still on this earth. It's something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to travel. But one thing that always stood in my way of pursuing that goal, well, it didn't really stand in front of it, but something that always caused restriction, were my parents. Now, God forbid, I love my parents more than anybody on this earth, but we would often come to disagreements. That's how I would describe it, where the things that I wanted to do were never in line with how my parents wanted me to live my life. That is fairly understandable, right? Because there's this difference in perspectives. I want to pursue an online career of me posting content, posting on social media, gaining a following, perhaps maybe one day being able to talk on stage. But I kind of want that Tony Robbins kind of lifestyle, but modernized into social media and all of this stuff. What is the one thing that every parent wants? Safety, comfort. They want certainty that their child won't have to go through all of the shit, trials and tribulations that they had to go through. My parents in particular, I don't want to, say too much about my private life here, but they had to go through a lot for me to have a comfortable life. So for them to see me choose that same route that they had to struggle with for decades was, to say the least, confusing, right? But once again, I wanted to make a decision that did not line up with their values. So once I reduced my time, from full-time to part-time, that's what I'm talking about, I wanted to go somewhere. But I knew for a fizzy fact that my parents were not gonna like the idea regardless what I choose, So the thing that I understood in particular is that I'm already 18 and I have the right to do what I want. Do I have the right to do mistakes? Absolutely. Should I make those mistakes? Perhaps not really, but for me at least, I'm the kind of person who learns from experiences. I really value going through things for the sake of learning through them. Now, obviously, the smart person learns from their mistakes, but the smarter person learns from the mistakes of others. But there are several mistakes that I want to do so that I can know on my own skin the circumstance, the result, the outcome, right? Therefore, I started looking across different tickets that I can buy, just daydreaming, kind of doom scrolling through the flight apps and websites. This is funny enough because a month later, turns out I applied as a flight attendant for a job, so that's funny. But one of the places that has caught my eye in particular happened to be relatively far away, because I wasn't looking for any, crazy flight across the world. I don't have the money for that. Not at the moment, at least. So I wanted to go somewhere in Europe because I live in Europe. And out of all of the cities and towns and countries that I've stumbled upon, one of them caught my eye. The Canary Islands. Tenerife. Very beautiful. Honestly, seeing on the map in Google Maps how ridiculously far away it is from home, I was concerned at first. But the one thing that I was looking at more than the destination, prices. I'm not even gonna bullshit you. I just wanted to take the cheapest flight that I could to the furthest away place I could get to. Therefore, I picked Tenerife, right? But the one thing that I did, okay, and I will say to myself, this was a pretty ballsy thing to do. Not a lot of guys have the balls to do this shit. But I just bought the ticket. I didn't ask my parents if I can. I didn't ask for permission. I just bought the ticket, right? I'm 18. I'm an adult. I can do what I want. At least that's the thought process that I was going through, right? So at one point, I remember we're sitting in my, living room right now, but right over this way, there's the entrance to my room, right? So I remember I walk out of the entrance into the living room and I just say, Mom, I did it. And my mom already knows what's about to come. She's like, oh my fucking God, don't even do that shit. She didn't say literally that, she said it her own way without the slurs and all that. But, she asked me, where did you buy the ticket? And I said, Tenerife. And the look in her eyes when she goes, oh my gosh, that's when I already knew, bro. That's when I knew. We're about to go down. Shit's about to go down before it even happens. All right. I showed them the flight details. I had a transit in London, which was very worrying to them because, for you to get to London, you need something called an ETA, which is basically like a visa that allows you to enter the United Kingdom since they're not part of the EU anymore, right? And Schengen zone, I think that's what it's called. I don't have a clue, but yeah. There were some legal laws applied there, basically, that, disallowed me for entering there freely. I needed to show their passport and everything, but in the end, it was completely fine, right? But to them, it just added more and more steps, more reasons as to why this idea is terrible, right? But the one thing that I like that not many people do nowadays, I love spontaneous traveling. I love to do spontaneous things in general. I'm like that fuck it, let's go kind of person. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like people love planning. People love to, build some sort of trajectory for them whenever they're trying to, accomplish something, do something, plan something out. People in general just like to have plans. I don't. And whilst there are circumstances in which having a plan is necessary, I simply didn't give a shit. I wanted to go somewhere new, explore, do some fun things. Therefore, that's what I ended up doing, right? Now, in the end, the trip turned out to be absolutely amazing. I not only enjoyed my time in London, I loved Tenerife. It was so beautiful. Like, I could yap about this shit for hours, but this is the mindset that I'm trying to teach you here. Like, if you were to remember one thing from this video, it's to do what you want. And I know it's stupid. It sounds dumb. It sounds like you've just wasted the 10 minutes of your time that you've invested into watching this video. But please just allow your mind to shift the angle at which you're going to be looking at the words that I'm saying. and listen up, because a lot of times there's going to be more restriction to the things that you want to do than there will be in anything else in the world. You'll say to yourself, oh man, I really wish I could go there, to that place. I really, really, really wish I could try doing that thing. But the very slight millisecond that you start planning towards that thing, that you take actionable steps towards doing it, there's going to be so much friction in front of it, whether if that's fear, whether if that's other people's fear of you, whether if that's going to be your money, expenses, because that tends to be a big role. Whatever the fuck, you know where I'm going with this. Those are the exact things that you need to push through to get to where you want to get to. A lot of people nowadays have no balls. And I have to say it, because I used to be that person for a very long time. I used to be scared of everything. And I can now say that the activity that brings me the most fulfillment is pretty much always the same thing. It's doing that exact thing that I happened to feel afraid of in the moment. If I'm walking on the street and I see a girl who's deemly attractive, who I find good looking, I already know that the only thing that's going to be ringing in my mind is doing that thing. Therefore, by doing it, I'm going to be feeling 100 times grateful or better than I did if I didn't, right? So this doesn't apply to just traveling. This applies to your lifestyle. In general, take this one mindset with you and take it to the grave. Every time you're going to be doing whatever the fuck, because it doesn't take traveling. It genuinely doesn't. It's the mindset shift that allows you to take opportunity in everything you do. It's going to happen to you 24/7 once you start paying attention to it. This video, if you somehow managed to stay all the way to this point of the video, it's going to be ringing in your head from that point onward. Trust me. Every time you're going to go out there, you're going to do something. You're going to be on a walk in a park. You're going to be at a workout at the gym. You're going to be sitting in your class at school. You're going to get that thought of doing a particular action, doing some sort of task, like starting a conversation with somebody, giving somebody a compliment, doing something that requires courage in general, but you know that it grants gratification, healthy gratification, not instant gratification. That thing is worth millions. Do that thing right now. And I don't want to be this kind of just do it kind of person, because I know this advice sounds retarded, it gets stupid and repetitive. But this is the mindset shift that I want you to have. Would my trip have been better if I did it 3 months later? If I planned everything out? If I actually, did it their way, my parents' way? Objectively, yes, without a doubt. But would have I gotten that same fulfillment as I did if I ended up staying an extra month working a slave job? Would I really have felt that same level of gratitude knowing that I've succumbed to somebody else's opinion? Obviously, you should listen to your parents. Don't get me wrong. Don't be a disobedient fucking kid, because that's like finding the balance in between that can be ridiculously difficult. I know for a fact. But at the end of the day, don't let another person set your own limits. Love your parents without a doubt, but for fuck's sake, if you're an adult, do what you want to do. If you're living under another person's roof, that changes the conditions. Without a doubt, don't be a parasite. Just at least don't try to be. I know I'm kind of forced into being one because I'm making barely any money right now, but I'm doing things. I'm not actively sitting inactive. I'm not being an unemployed, lazy piece of shit. Even though from their perspective, I often get called that, right? It's like your efforts will rarely ever get appreciated. until the results come out with anything. Nobody cares that you went to practice. Nobody cares that you uploaded the video. Nobody gives a shit that you went and had a random workout at the gym. But if you said to somebody that, oh, you hit a PR, you made 1 million views, you won some sort of championship or whatever the fuck, suddenly people care. Without a doubt. Patience, patience, patience. I kind of got off topic, but that's just another thing that rings in my mind every day that I have to repeat to myself because it can get annoying from time to time. But hopefully you found this video valuable. I don't want to be repetitive in my content. However, if you want to, I can definitely make another video on Tenerife and the stuff that happened because holy shit, there's so much to unravel. I already want to go on another trip, but this time actually recorded fully because on that trip, I kind of just didn't give a fuck about content. I wanted to take a break, but holy shit, bro. If you want to be a part of this community, don't click the like, don't click the sub. Fuck all that shit. Honestly, like, fourth wall breaker here. The only button that I want you to press is the hype button. I'm not sure if you have it on your phone or your PC, but it's like a new feature. Basically, right next to your like, comment, whatever, there should be like a hype button. What this does is it spreads out the impressions to your video like crazy. If we can get my video to like the 100 rank in my country of trending content, holy shit, bro. That matters more than all of the likes and subscribers. Of course, do that if you want to. I'm not asking you for it because if you made it all the way here, it's safe to say you enjoyed the video. So that's a given, isn't it? But please, press that stupid hype button. That's all I'm asking you. If you enjoyed the content and you want to stick around, I'll probably show up on your FYP anyways, and maybe you'll like my video there. Maybe you'll subscribe here, but for the love of God, all I'm asking. All right, enough begging from me. Let's just run this one up. All right, so if you like this video, make sure to check out either one of these two, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. So take care.